Hello and welcome everyone to today's special podcast episode hosted through the Modern Divorce Navigator. Today I am joined by Ron Platt with the National Association for Single and Divorced Families. This is a very cool concept that I think wraps in insurance and a support group and association benefits. And I'm surprised, honestly, that nothing like this has taken off the ground yet and very hopeful. So, Ron, welcome to the show. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Ron Platt. I am the co founder of the National Association for Single and Divorced Families. The easiest way to explain what it is that we do, I always like to use AARP as our example because everybody knows who AARP is. They know that when you turn 50, you start getting letters from them. You're like, no, I'm not retired yet. I'm not
Yeah.
retired yet.
Really?
It comes with age, yes. But basically, they provide product, services, support, and resources for people who are 55 or older, and they advocate for Medicare, Social Security, and elder fraud. So what we do is we provide product, services, support, and resources for people who are getting a divorce, currently divorced, or have a single family household. Things that people really need when they're in the process. I know that if you Google divorce, the first 3 to 4 pages are attorneys, but people need a lot of different things when they get divorced. And they also need support groups. They need financial services. They need real estate. They need this. I can go through the list of benefits that we have, but pretty much everything you think you need, we have or we are currently sourcing, and we're trying to do it state by state.
So, who is we, and how did this become your passion?
Yeah. So my dad and I used to be in the insurance business, and my dad and I did product development. So we were doing very niche. We were the niche guys. So we developed very niche products that people needed, but nobody wanted to underwrite. We managed to do it. And I'm sitting with my dad at lunch, and he said, "You know, I always wanted to put together an insurance product that would guarantee child support and alimony." And I thought, well, that's freaking genius. And he says, well, yeah, I mean, what happens if the guy dies, becomes disabled, or suddenly they close the plant, or he loses his job because of layoffs? We will go ahead and guarantee that child support and alimony payment for up to a year. And I thought, well, that's amazing. Well, we have an association that we currently use for something else. Why don't we use it towards providing these people with benefits and services and resources? And he said, that's genius. So we both went back to our computers. This is like 25 years ago, and nobody's doing it. So he did not want to start the association until he placed the insurance product, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to do it. It was like the one niche product we couldn't place. And then about 6 months ago, I got a call from a friend of mine who said, "Did you ever place the insurance product?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, I have somebody I want you to talk to." So he gets this guy on the phone. I always say the 70-year-old plus underwriters were always the best ones because they were the true risk takers. They were willing to
Hmm.
really take it. So he got me on the phone. He asked if I had an actuarial report. I said I did. He reviewed it, came back to me a couple weeks later and said, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. We're gonna go ahead and underwrite it." So for me, it was sort of very healing because my father has since passed, and I remember looking up, going, "I think I just did it, Dad." So with that, we wanted to also start the association finally, and the association is a passion of mine because part of our advocacy is geared towards foster care reform that we're going to be doing as soon as our membership base builds. I'm a foster parent. I received my son when he was 13 years old, and I was a very naive parent who was single at the time, and trying to finagle it on my own. And you think you know how to raise a child, or at least the assumption is such, and then you get a foster kid who's 13 years old who comes with a lot of baggage. And it definitely challenged me. And I also saw that he had a lack of services from the state, such as mental health care, clothing, just day to day things that were not being provided to him. That thank God I was in a position financially to afford to provide for him. And I thought, and then I would go to I'd go to the family court, and I'd see that what was going on and how decisions were not being made, how the wrong parents were getting custody, how everything but the child's voice was being listened to. And I thought, I want to be able to advocate for these children someday. And NASDF is that outlet for us.
Okay. I want to drill down on the insurance product
Yeah,
because it's very, very interesting. So, who buys the insurance, the payor or the payee? And are
either
you
party.
looking, okay, either party.
Yeah.
And are you looking to have it be court ordered?
So that's interesting. We have talked to lobbyists. very well respected people I know that get things done. They don't just say that they can get it done if you pay them a lot of money, but they actually get it done. And I said, what would it take to get this product initiated into law? We talked to them here in Florida, and they said, we feel very confident that we can get both sides of the aisle to agree to it because you're dealing with children, you're dealing with their financial security. We feel we could probably get this made into law. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be my product, but it would be what my
Right.
product covers.
Right.
And given the fact that we will have a patent pending on the product, I am assuming that nobody's going to, and that it took 25 years to put this thing together in the first place with every insurance company saying, no, I suspect my product would be on the market by itself for quite some time.
How would premiums work? Like, let's say I pay my ex-husband $1,000 a month, and he wanted to buy insurance. How much would he have to pay for that?
$1,000 is probably costing you like maybe 230. Again, I'm not looking at the rates, but it's
Right.
probably about 235 for the year. $235.
235. Okay, so what is that monthly?
That would be like $20 a month.
It's a very interesting concept.
And some-
Let's see. I would love it if our listeners who are watching right now would write down in the comments, like, how much would you pay to guarantee your $1,000 a month payment? Like, what would that be worth to you? Just very interested. So go ahead and drop that in the comments if y'all don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. The product is called Support Insured. And somebody asked me the other day, well, if I'm only getting 1,000, can I buy like 5,000 worth? And I said, no.
Yes. Can I buy up my child support, please?
Right, exactly. There might be a moral issue there that I'd be concerned with.
Yeah.
But no,
And
it
then
can only.
is it covered for anything? So for any reason, if I stop paying or I died, or does it only cover it if I die?
Death, disability, or involuntary unemployment. So let's talk about the involuntary unemployment.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur and you lose a major account, you have to close the business. Let's say you own a restaurant and the economy changes and you have to close the restaurant, we will continue making those payments for you for up to a year. If you've decided you don't want to make your payments and your ex has to take you to court, that's a different issue. That the states take care of and they can garnish your wages. We do not take care of what we call deadbeat parents. But we will take care of it if they lose their job, if it's a layoff, if a plant closes, or not because they were fired, but because they literally had to close the business. We will go ahead and cover that.
This is definitely something for both payors and payees to consider, because if you're a payor and you become unemployed, your child support obligation does not change. It does not automatically change, and you have to go back to court. And you have to wait until you get to a judge, and then the judge may or may not reduce your child support obligation, because child support isn't really based on what you're making at the moment. It's based on your earning ability. So it is possible that you would lose your job and be able to, reduce all of your other bills, but be stuck with this child support payment.
The other thing is we give you up to $1,000 worth of legal fees. So which we think is pretty interesting, because if the person who's paying suddenly is unemployed because they've been laid off and doesn't pursue getting that taken care of, the other spouse, the other partner can go ahead and begin the legal, what they need to do legally to make sure that that person begins paying what they need to pay. And we will give them, they clearly hire the attorney, and we will reimburse them up to $1,000 for those legal fees.
Very interesting. Okay, so is there a legal insurance component beyond this for general divorce or child custody matters?
That would be hard to have an insurance product for that, but what we are looking to do is open up a credit card. I recently had a good friend of ours that was leaving her abusive husband, verbally abusive, not physically, and he made all the money, and she was an at-home mom taking care of 2 kids. He gave her a stipend every week, and when they separated, that stipend dropped considerably, and she could not afford to hire the attorney. She went for free legal services, but because they combined her income and his income, clearly it was too much, and she couldn't get free legal advice. So I asked what it would cost to hire the attorney, and she said $5,000 here in Florida. So I said, do you have a credit card? She goes, I don't have a credit card. So what we want to do is develop something like Care Credit. And as I share with people, Care Credit pays for cosmetic surgery and vet bills. I've contacted them and said, hey, can I get a credit card from my association that would pay for legal services, for attorneys, for mediation, for filing court cases, child custody issues if you need to file with the state. And they said, no, we can't do that. But I'm like a pit bull on a tire. I won't let go, and I continue to find out which company will do it. We really want to establish a credit card that if you have a low, we assume some people might have a low credit score. So can we do 450 or above? And basically, once the courts are settled, they would continue making payments, but that's hopefully when they would pay it off at that point. So
That
it's like a gap insurance coverage, as I like to say.
Yeah, that's very interesting. There are two different companies that we work with that offer loans
Yes.
for legal fees, and then there's one like private lending company that we work with that will loan you money based on your potential settlement. But those only work for pretty big cases where there's a lot of hard assets, and that lender can make sure that they're going to collect.
We've spoken to a company that will
Mhm.
do the credit card, but the attorney has to refer them in.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not something that the person can apply for, but it's the
Mhm.
attorney has to refer them in. I've said, look, I've spoken to them and said, can I just have it as a member benefit so that my
Mhm.
members don't have to wait to get to the attorney before they can get the
Mhm.
credit card? And they said, no, it has
Mhm.
to come through the attorney. It's just the way they're set up.
Interesting.
So we're
Yeah.
close, but
Yeah.
not there just yet.
All right. So, what other resources does the association provide?
Great question. So things that people need. So let's start with, of course, attorneys. We're going to have an attorney network on there if you haven't already hired one and you need to look. Sometimes, as you know, attorneys, if it's an amicable divorce, a mediation might be another outlet for you. So we have several mediation companies that are on our as vendors on our association that have offered to discount their services for our members. Let's take a company like Aflac. So
Mhm.
people need to go out and they need to get health insurance. If they go to the open market, if you can't afford, if you're not if your employer doesn't provide it, you have to go on the open market. Some of those deductibles are really high. So
Mhm.
Aflac, I know we always see the duck, and I've been in the insurance business for 16 years, and I still don't understand the commercials as to what they cover, and I've told them that. But they offer a deductible buyback type program for hospital and medical coverages. So if your deductible, say, is three, four, $5,000, depending on which plan you purchase, you could literally get reimbursed up to say 1,000 or 15 or $2,000. That's a benefit that's only offered through Aflac through one of your employers. But if you don't have an employer, you can't get it. Well, congratulations, NASD. If you're a member of NASDF, they will work with you on getting that product at a cheaper rate than if you were to buy it direct. So, and they offer a ton of other products that, again, if you come through the association, it's cheaper. Mental health care, uh, whether for your children or for yourself, we offer 3 free sessions and then discounted sessions thereafter. And as soon as our association gets a little bit bigger than what it is right now, we have a company that will give us 8 free sessions per occurrence. So if you have anxiety and depression, you would actually get 16 free mental health care sessions and then discounted sessions thereafter.
Okay.
We
And
offer,
would that be available to no matter what state you were in?
that is correct. Yep,
Wonderful.
yep. We offer discounts for diapers, formulas, Lenovo computer products such as laptops. If you come through the association, they give you a huge, I think it's a 30% discount if you purchase Lenovo products through us. Um, Office Max, Office Depot for school supplies and office equipment is cheaper if you come through us. I have to look at my board here because there's so many other products. Learning Care Group. So La Petite Academy, Montessori, You Grow, are all part of our association. If there is a waiting list, you get put at the top of the list. You
Hmm.
get a discount off of the application fees and a discount off of their services as well. And we're going to increase that as well as when our membership begins to grow. Let's see what. Oh, real estate. So you need to buy or sell, assuming. We were able to work out something with our realtor organization that if you use one of the realtors in the association that's a vendor, we will give you up to 25% towards your closing costs. So in other words, if whatever commission the agent is making, if it's 3% or 2%, 25% of that commission will go towards your closing cost, whether you're a buyer or a seller. Nobody can offer that. not even realtors. And
No,
I'm a realtor, so I
yeah.
know that personally.
Yeah, so do you mean like cash? Like you're actually the association is giving cash, or this is a negotiated discount that the real estate agent agreed to?
No, so what'll happen is on your closing statement, it'll
Mm-hmm.
show whatever that dollar amount is. So
Mm-hmm.
let's assume the commission is $10,000. 25% would be $2,500. So
Mm-hmm.
2,500 will show up on your closing statement as a credit.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. I
Yeah,
mean, that's a big deal for anybody who's bought a
huge.
house. Those rack up.
Absolutely. That's why I was like, "Ooh, I've got a great idea that we can
Yeah.
that we can actually make come to fruition." There's a bunch of others. I'm looking at my board, but we keep adding more and more. And somebody said to me the other day, "Are you advocating for fathers as much as you are for mothers?" And the answer is yes. If you go to our website nasdf.org, the first picture is a man hugging his child. It's a man hugging his child. We want to make sure that everybody feels that they can participate in this, and we want to make sure that everybody is getting the support and resources that they need, whether you're a man, woman, whether you're in a heterosexual marriage or LGBTQT marriage or whatever it is. We want to make sure we're bipartisan, non-religious, non-political as best we
Not
can.
part of that stuff.
Correct. So that it's about helping people build a stronger foundation when they're getting back on their feet. Somebody else asked me the other day if I haven't been married or I haven't been divorced and I don't have any children, can I join? And the answer is absolutely. These
Hmm.
products are great for anybody. And
Interesting.
I call myself the Costco type effect. Costco has 175 million members, which blew my mind when I looked it up. When you have a large membership base of any kind, you can negotiate with large vendors, and you
Yeah.
can ask them, look, I've got this group of people, and can Kroger's and Safeway and Publix and Target, can you offer my members benefits? And 90% of them will say yes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's power in that collective.
Correct.
So it's a great idea. I've got a question here from one of our listeners who says, "Well, what if I'm supposed to get $20,000 a month in child support? Is there going to be a premium cost for that?"
No, of course. Yeah, and we can. I think the highest somebody's asked us for is 50,000, and we were able to quote that for them.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah. So the way insurance works, right? Your car is more expensive, your premium is higher. It's just like any other insurance, right?
What I'm hoping to do in the next 2 to 3 years, as soon as we have enough claims experience, is bring that price down so it's so cheap that I can offer every member the coverage whether they need it or not. So it might end up costing, say, $1 or $2 per member per month. That's eventually how I want to be able to make it so that every member has it automatically as part of their benefits.
It's a really good idea. If
Hmm.
you think about it, we all have car insurance because the law requires us to have car insurance
Hmm.
because accidents happen. Well, you know what? I bet you are as likely or more likely to end up in a divorce
Hmm.
than you are to end up in a car accident. It just unfortunately happens so frequently. And if it's not a divorce, it might be some other type of family law event or contract dispute with a roommate. Like it's just part of our life.
Yeah.
And it's really too bad that there's not insurance because lawyers are very expensive.
There was a product years ago, it stopped in 2022, that actually paid for the attorney fees if you filed for a divorce.
Mm.
And I looked it up. It got a lot of notoriety. You basically bought it when you got married, and you had to pay into it for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody said it was sort of like a prenuptial arrangement,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought,
Mm-hmm.
to me, like I said, I've been in the insurance business for 16 years. I thought it was a crappy product, but the guy
Mm-hmm.
did incredibly well. And I've reached out to him and said, what happened, things of that nature. There was a huge need for it. Some of the states legislated him out of business, which was interesting.
Yeah, there's this morality thing surrounding family law where we don't want to talk about it.
Right,
Like maybe if we don't talk about it and we cover our eyes, maybe it'll go away. Maybe
right,
then God will save all the marriages. How is that working out?
right, right. Do you know
You
what the
know, like
stats are, by the way?
I
It's
mean,
it's 40% of first marriages end in divorce,
right.
60% of second, and 75% of third marriages. You figure by the third marriage they would have gotten it right.
I
Yeah,
know, but it doesn't work that way. It's the
it doesn't.
opposite. And I think it's because there's more pressure on second and third marriages. You've got blended family issues, you've got, different money habits. Like you're not, it's just it's a harder thing to accomplish and do right and do well.
So here's what's interesting is I was in a toxic relationship for 14 years. I call it the undivorced because I wasn't married, but
Mhm.
breaking up the relationship was as bad as being in a divorce because there
Mhm.
was property, there were
Mhm.
assets, things of that nature. And I got into that relationship the way my childhood was. It was conditional love. So I grew up with conditional love. And of course, my first relationship is going to be conditional as well. So I never made enough money. I never did enough. I was never good enough or what have you. And I have a high threshold for that because of my upbringing. So, of course, my relationship turned out to be that way. When that ended after 14 years, I took a 5 year gap and really try to figure out what it is that I wanted in my next relationship, how I wanted to be loved, what I was willing to tolerate, therapy, journaling, life coach, all of these things. Now they have divorce coaches, which is great. Uh, and I was able to meet the love of my life. I was able to get married, and I've been in that relationship for 15 years, and it's unconditional. It's everything that I knew I could have, but I needed to focus on. And part of what I want to do with the association also is teach people how to have healthier relationships.
I love that. I
Yep.
really, really do because most people get married so quickly after
Hmm.
their divorce that they don't necessarily take the time to
To
figure
breathe.
that out.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
asked people, what do you want? And they go, well, I know what I don't want. I don't want this, and I don't want
Right.
this, and I don't want
Right. So
this.
I'm going to marry the anti husband or the anti
Exactly.
wife. And that's usually what happens, right? They go looking for whatever is not what we just did. Yeah.
Right. And that's what we want to be able to change is no, don't tell me what you don't want. Tell me what
Yeah.
you do want.
Yeah.
And then focus on it. I journaled about it. It was part of my goals. And you have this thing in your head called a reticular activator. Do you know what that is?
No.
So, have you ever gone to buy a car and you wanted to buy like a gray Audi? And all of a sudden, all you see on the streets are gray Audis. That's your reticular activator. If you
Mhm.
focus on it, that's all you see and attract. And I
Mhm.
know it sounds a little, woo woo and
No,
spiritual and
this
all
is
that.
a real psychological thing. This is real.
Correct. It is. It's
I
called the
just didn't know.
reticular activator.
So is that a part of your brain, the
Yes.
reticular activator? Okay, and
Yeah.
where is it at?
That I have no idea.
Okay, all right, all
Right.
right.
But when you know what you want, you focus, you journal about it, you write it down, it's sitting on your wall, you look at your goals, and any goal that you put yourself out to,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you begin to not only attract in your life, but that's what you focus on. And the minute you run into somebody that doesn't match that, you know it immediately. You're like, nope, next, next. I literally would get up from a dinner and shake the person's hand and say, it was a pleasure getting to talk to you today. We're not a match. I'm going. I'll pay the
Yeah,
bill. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because
I
I
really
got so focused
appreciate
on it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Another question I've got here is how much does it cost to become a member and how do I sign up?
Sure. It's only $19 a month, and you go to nasdf.org, and you will see our website. You hit the join button. The benefits are there. Uh, you'll see everything you need. What our mission statement is, our goals, the benefits, everything is on there. nasdf.org. Just click and hit the button. It's $19 a month.
Wonderful. All right, we are almost out of time for today. Is there anything else that you want people to know about you, about the product, before we wrap up today?
The other part of my passion is that everything that I'm pouring into this association has been a culmination of a lot of the things that I've either gone through myself or that my friends or clients or things that have gone through and that I've seen firsthand with it when it comes to child custody issues, when it comes to nasty divorces. Again, I've been in real estate for 23 years after I left insurance, and I've dealt with a lot of people who are having to sell the house and not having good relationships, and I've had to deal with both parties negotiating, just all this information that I've been able to pour in, and then all the other people that we're talking to, the interviews that you'll see on our YouTube pages, NASDF org or Facebook or any of those things are all a culmination of basically information on try to help you get back on your feet. So you're going to again visit our YouTube page, NASDF org, our Facebook page, NASDF, LinkedIn. All these videos and all these podcasts are going on there specifically to help.
All right, that is wonderful. Hold on for me one second because I've got a question here. I want to see
Sure.
if I can ask it to you, but it's long, so give me just 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like this question really needs legal advice, and so I'm going to go ahead and direct them either to the Q&A on Thursday when I can go ahead and answer those legal questions, or contact a lawyer. But Ron, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing this. It's been absolutely fascinating. I know it's going to be a very, very popular episode. So thank you for being here and have a
I
great day.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye bye.